Okay, today I'm going to show you how to set your Jeep up, your Power Wheels Jeep up with a 18 volt lithium ion. So this is a rigid knockoff battery, 6 amp hours, 108 watt hours. Pretty sweet. I've actually used these in the drill and they perform pretty well. So then what I did is I bought a 3D printed receiver for rigid batteries. Okay, and then I bought a 40 amp fuse just to have some overload protection. And then all I did is I wire nutted. So I took these big wire nuts that can handle this 10 gauge wire, and I'd recommend going at least 12 gauge, but 10 gauge is probably even better. But so positive is the white end coming from your Power Wheels. Stripped that off, hooked it with a wire nut. Then I have my fuse and another wire nut going into my receiver for the batteries. And then I went off the negative side and I just have a wire nut, and that's it. And so I use rigid tools anyway. I have a lot of rigid stuff. You can get these same adapters for Milwuakee. You can get them for other things, and I'll post some links on Amazon where you could do a similar setup if your batteries are Milwuakee or Dewalt or some of the others that are really popular. So I just have a couple different rigid chargers, a bunch of rigid batteries. So I like to use that because then I can just keep swapping batteries out. It makes it real easy. And so when the kids are ready to ride, so I've got this, like I said, this knockoff battery. So they're pretty cheap, so I don't feel too bad about them, and they charge a whole heck of a lot faster than the nickels that come with this. Or you may have seen my other video where I replace a Power Wheels battery with just a big generic battery. I like this setup better because it gives you a little more power. Now, I won't recommend, I will say you got to be careful, because if you run this for a long time and you run it hot, you could burn your motor up because you have an 18 volt setup. I've run this for a while with my kids and I haven't run into that problem, but I could imagine that becoming a problem if you weren't careful. So that's something to be aware of. So tuck that stuff in there. And unfortunately, my kid's Jeep is falling apart because they're crazy with it. But we'll get this in here, and that's about as good as it gets. Now, I don't have a child to demonstrate, but I'll just show you on low. That's what you get. But when you put this thing on high, it's fast.